Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And immediately we begin this unit. Now we are going a little bit deep in the design and development of the web applications. Technologies, they are diversified, and here we see new feature, new concept, new methodology, new tool that we can refer to design and implement dynamic web applications. The design of web applications we saw earlier in this course. Up to now, the 5 units we reached to accomplish so far, they are very enough to help us to design and develop actually a coherent and well-running web solution. It's not limited to what we saw to say that you are able to create a web application. You can refer to the ASP.NET technologies in plural to implement a dynamic web solution. Yeah, for sure. So before we start, before we continue, I have to confirm with you now that the 5 minutes we saw so far put you in front of the let's say the request or the question or the any interview where you'll be able to answer the question: are you able to create a web application? Are you able to create a static or a dynamic web application? Can you deliver services in plural over the web? The answer has to be yes. True, I can. You have to say, yes, I can. Expect interrogations in this way in your in-semester next week, and also in the quiz, also in the final question, final exam. So this briefing here, please. I insist on you to refer to it eventually, because you are required now to say that I can develop at least a basic web application, but what we saw is not a basic technology. It gives you a good expertise to develop good applications to deliver trustworthy services over the web. Absolutely. So I'd like to continue, and at the same time, I'd like you to memorize well what I just said right now. AJAX is one of the technologies that we may refer to add interaction and dynamicity to web applications. Whenever we design a web application, 100% we are willing to deliver a service or a group of services to end users. We are not designing an application just to say hello, how are you? Even if you're just passing a message asking for a human being status or state, it is a service to deliver. Thus, services, they have to be actually as coherent as it can be in order to convince users or end users to procure and to follow up our procurement, our delivery, to interact with us as service providers. AJAX is one of the technologies that would help us to let the users be convinced to utilize our services, since it helps to develop a user-friendly interfaces, final view that can be actually trustworthy and convincing to the end users. In the sense of, it gives an easy to use APIs front pages, interfaces that the users can use easily with the least time wasted and with the max, let's say, updated data, updated views. The contents, the components of an interface would be updated with the most convincing and correlated knowledge and data. What does it mean? AJAX is not a programming language. AJAX is a combination of basically the two, let's say, scripting languages, the JavaScript and the XML, in a mode to interact with each other to generate a user-friendly interface. Actually, in the sense of to make the pages act faster, and they are not complex and deliver the services that the user would ask for. AJAX stands for asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. So it is a combination of two scripting languages that interact and get correlated in order to add dynamicity and to accomplish what cannot be actually delivered using only HTML or the running in background script like the SPX, so what we saw in the ASP.NET technology. So to add a correlation in an asynchronous mode means actually based on the request, there will be modification in other components within the same interface. The combination of the both JavaScript and XML would be put in action. Actually, as per a technical definition, the JavaScript actually is a DLL used for for making a control to run over a given system, over a given environment. Since it is not a programming language and we are making an interaction in between two different in nature scripting languages, remember that the JavaScript is a scripting tag that does not give any design. It has interaction. It is for interaction and effects on a web interface. XML is a tag-based language that has to define an architecture hierarchy via which we display list of data, list of information, metadata, things like that. They are not with the same nature in format, but they have to interact on a given environment to add controls on the components available on a web page, no more, no less. Okay, what it concerns the because actually AJAX it does not run only on a Microsoft environment, since we saw all the technologies from the prior 5 units, starting from the ASPX, the SQL Server in background, the ADO.NET, the Binden, and the controls. All of them, they are Microsoft-based technologies. The AJAX is not related to Microsoft only. It is related to web solutions, means asynchronous JavaScript and XML. It's not related to Microsoft. It is not a product of Microsoft. yet it runs across platforms, web-based solutions built by the Microsoft technologies, or web-based solutions built by the Microsoft technologies, like the technologies we learned so far in the prior 5 minutes, or other web technologies, whatever they are. The AJAX runs on all. It is compatible with all of them. Thus, for what it concerns our learning process, to activate the AJAX, we need to activate a library that would be actually installed on the toolbox. We utilize the .NET library we use within the Visual Studio, our main editor, and it can be added to the group of tools, and we used accordingly. So it is a tool at the end of the day to activate within the toolbox in the .NET platform. So, any questions, please? Great. Great. I believe it's clear. We continue. Capabilities. Here we talk about the AJAX features. When we say live data binding, actually what this AJAX would help us in is to update components in a given page in lifetime. What does it mean? Here we were in the unit number 4 defining the data binding. We said that it is a population of a control with data from a data source, whatever the data source is. It's a database object or a local source, like an array list. Okay, it is the same context, but it's a lifetime. What does it mean? It's not a matter of clicking a button to refresh a page. There is no refresh. There is no reload at all. You just pass the mouse over, data appear. You just change a selection, data appear, and so on. So we do not need to reload a web page to display the data. It is just a matter of firing an event locally without reloading, I insist on this, the correlated data would appear, it is said, in lifetime. So live binding. Okay, we have a list of students, for example. I click the ID number 1. It appears to me the picture, the major, the semester, the courses registered, and so on. I change the ID. I click on the second ID. Second students appear. Second student's profile. I click the third ID. Different data appear, and so on, without reloading the page. This is due to the AJAX. The AJAX can do that. The AJAX is a client-side rendering, let's say, technology, in the sense of the AJAX can be utilized on the web browser to render what has to be appeared. It's not server-side. It does work on the web browser, since it's a client-side, to render what the client has to see. It is actually a technology that we can use to instantiate the objects that the user has to see. For example, we have a class of students, class of courses, class of colleges, whatever. They are server side. The AJAX can generate objects and instantiate all of those classes to be utilized in the local client-side tool, which is the browser. So the AJAX can do that. It generates arrays using actually this JavaScript to manipulate what the user has to see or to design what the user has to, let's say, visualize, to generate a pattern via which the user would actually display whatever he's requesting. As we said, the AJAX is actually compatible with cross-platform technologies that they are running on the web. In our concern, the .NET platform, it is one of the web technologies. So it is a library that has to be installed in the toolbox. It is a toolkit to be added to the toolbox in the .NET platform. So the AJAX would invoke the ADO.NET technology in order to accomplish the context of the binding and to work with the connectivity in between, let's say, the ADO.NET technology versus the back-end solution, and the ADO.NET technology versus the front-end technology. Means whenever we try to make a binding, the AJAX would be put into action. Remember that here I was saying that the AJAX would be put in action when we talk about the binding. The binding, it is to utilize the ADO.NET technology to make a connection. Something, it's a channel, it's a circuit to make the data pass from backend ADO and ADO frontend. Backend ADO there is a question here because it is a backend solution and backend let's say process, while the AJAX it is only to run on the client side interface. So for now we limit the talk that the AJAX would be actually present and put in action. Whether the front-end solution means the ADO versus the front-end solution. Thus, the data view control is one of the very famous tools that we may refer to utilize the AJAX, to adopt the AJAX, to put the AJAX into action in order to make the live binding and the live data population. We see examples just in a while to explain what we saw, so what we said, what we described. Those are actually features to make you understand more this technology, but how it runs. Examples we see in a while. Don't worry. We are still prescribing and defining what is this AJAX technology. Good. Positive side of this AJAX, I can believe that we would not find negative sides, but we will study the theory. The AJAX does not consume the bandwidth, since it is actually populating the local cache of the browser with data, and accordingly it would actually make a correlation, something like that. So it would actually free up the bandwidth, and it gives actually more freedom for other components to use the bandwidth, or for other, let's say, to give the bandwidth more space to be utilized by other processes or threads. Uh, it saves actually. We stop here. It gives more free space to be utilized by other threads and other processes when the bandwidth, and thus actually memory will be saved server side. And the AJAX, it updates, as we said earlier, components inside the same page. It does not update the full page. It can do, but the integration of the AJAX is to update components, not the web page. We do not use AJAX to reload for the purpose of reloading. We can do, but it's not the purpose. The AJAX is to update certain blocks. For example, we need to change only for example, we display the student profile. We need to change only the picture, the name, and the major of the student. If we change the selection of the ID, we click the ID, we display the picture, the name, and the major. Click next ID. The picture changes, only the picture. The name changes, only the name. The major changes also. Third ID, we click the third ID. The picture, the name, the major changes, and so on. So this way we change parts. It updates partial parts and blocks from the same page. It does not need long time to get a response. It is much more faster. The user actually interface, the front end API, it is much more coherent since actually it updates frequently and it updates with much less time. It is said to be enhanced, so the user will trust it more than when we compare this AJAX-based solution to a non-AJAX-based solution. Yeah. I'm not explaining all because there is a common understanding. I said earlier that we cannot find negative side from the JavaScript, but due to some limitations, AJAX would be actually put into a negative side. As the first limitation is that if a browser is disabling the JavaScript from running, so the AJAX would face an issue to run. We take the example of the Internet Explorer or the Edge, Microsoft Edge browser. For security reasons, they come with a disabled JavaScript feature. So this limitation and this security preview and this security policy would put the AJAX into a trouble to run. So some of the AJAX functions would not be able to run since they are actually JavaScript based. And if the JavaScript is disabled, so it would not actually act as expected, or as drawn in earlier age. The same thing, if any web solution is called and it uses the JavaScript to act, it would not actually act fluently. It would not give the expected results if the JavaScript is not enabled within that platform, whatever is. So some search engines, they use JavaScript to act. If the JavaScript is not enabled in your in the client side, meaning in the web browser, so the service would not be delivered as it is expected. The AJAX, asynchronous JavaScript and XML, is an easy to read script. Means if you reach to receive the file that describes the way how the correlation between the JavaScript and the XML is set, you'll understand it easily. So, for a security reason, the AJAX has to be hidden from the end user, but we cannot do that easily. But we have to understand that it exposes the technology set by the developer, how they are implementing the solution to make the correlation and the live binding run. The AJAX, it is an interpreted solution, it is an interpreted technology, it does not need to be compiled once for all, and it cannot be done, actually, since it is a web technology. Thus, we can say that it is difficult to debug. XML, you can find it in different locations and different solutions, but in this context, it is not easy to debug it. It needs to be interpreted every time the web solution is called. And since it is an easy to call and an easy to implement and an easy to deploy, requests on such technology within the same application gets increased. So the calls are more higher than the habitual calls on a regular application without the AJAX. Yeah, common. When actually utilizing the AJAX on a web solution, delivering a service or group of services, the change of values and the change of binding and the requests again and again and again and again would make the browser into a situation not to recognize how to make the ordering of the requests when trying to make a back step. The browser wants you as an end user utilize the AJAX with the interface, with the API, and you change data again and again and again and again. Each request you do, and these requests and those requests are actually controlled by the AJAX, is a step. When trying to make a back step later on, the browser will not be able to recognize all the steps. He will be confused and will not give you coherent results. Yeah, because they are updates within the web interface. It's not the full web interface that has been updated. So those are some negative views that you can consider when the AJAX is in action. AJAX is technology, it's not a programming language. It adds effects, it adds a control, it adds an interaction within the API at the end of the day. It does not give you a solution from scratch. No, it adds an effect, an activity, a control. That's all. It is a technology to enhance the interaction and the rendering view of an interface. When we compare this AJAX to the JavaScript, we see some differences. The first view is that the JavaScript is a scripting language and the AJAX is not, it's a technology. The AJAX actually, it is much more faster. It acts within the page itself. JavaScript actually, it needs to wait for the server replies in order to act, to add the effect or to be seen. The AJAX, no, it can act. In some cases, it is similar to the JavaScript, yes, but in major cases, no. It will act immediately from the local browser cache to make the effect. JavaScript acts based on the server replies in plural. The AJAX does not need, but it can. Does not need a full page to be refreshed in order to apply its action. This is the AJAX. We do not need to refresh the page in order to see the effect of the AJAX. JavaScript has to have the updated data in order to act. Thus, the page has to be refreshed. So, a control to be controlled by the JavaScript, the control has to be updated. Control whatever, button, label, grid view, list view, details view. It has to be updated in order to see the JavaScript in action. The AJAX enormously minimizes the stress on the server side, since it is actually, and it can act independently from the server by using the local cache, the local browser cache, the browser local cache, local memory, without referring to the server. It can act, yeah. The JavaScript, no. The AJAX minimizes the stress on the web server. The JavaScript, no, as we said, it has to have updated values in order to make its effect. Thus, when we compare the JavaScript into the AJAX, the stress on the server, we can see it more high when deploying only the JavaScript. We can receive the same effect, but with much more time required, in addition to much more stress on the server side, using the JavaScript only. Less time and less stress on the server when using the AJAX. Any questions, please? Okay, great. I'll stop the recording. If you hear your name, please say yes.